When Harry spoke, people listened. And when Harry wanted something done, it was done. And you saw that in Lesotho with Sentebale, and that the pride that he got from something that started as a gap year project for him to then a lasting legacy, a project making a difference to a generation of young people, children, many of whom have been orphaned by HIV and AIDS, who contracted the disease themselves in the AIDS epidemic. He and Meghan both actually could have made such a difference. And particularly now, when you look at the royal family and how difficult and how thin on the ground they have been over the past few months with the absence of the King, the Princess of Wales. We've of course had Princess Anne's ill health lately as well. The role that, we're told Meghan didn't like playing second fiddle. Well, they wouldn't have been playing second fiddle right now, would they? They would have been front and centre, and they could have played such a key role. And I think it's really, really sad to see just how things have changed.
Well, they've gone.
They've
got their new life in California. Was Harry, was he one of the favourite people for you to interview? Or just a quick run through of anyone?
Prince Harry and Prince Philip were two of my favourite members of the royal family, really, because they both had that same kind of twinkle, and you never quite knew what they were going to do next. I never got to interview the Duke of Edinburgh, the late Duke of Edinburgh. I did interview the Prince of Wales on several occasions, of course, because of his position as then heir to the throne now. Then Prince of Wales, I'm talking about Prince Charles as he was in my time. That was hugely significant, going to interview the heir to the throne. And I always found him to be extremely charming, a details man, always across his brief. I mean, the one person that all of us would have wanted to interview was the late Queen. And you talked earlier about mystique and maintaining that mystique. She did it because she never gave a single interview. But, I met her on multiple occasions. The very first occasion I met her was in Uganda at the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, and she and the Duke of Edinburgh hosted a reception for the journalists that were following them. We were all introduced to them. It was my first time, my first royal tour, and we were all incredibly nervous in the room. And thank goodness Arthur Edwards was there to give me a few pointers on what to do and how to address them and what to say and not to say, and save me in that instance. But
good old Arthur, he's bailed me out a few times.
Yeah, gold dust.
He's gold dust, isn't he? Based on all your knowledge and your experience of meeting members of the royal family and interviewing them, we have the dreaded quickfire questions. OK, if you're ready?
I'm ready.
Right, OK. So, we've got this one because I don't know if you've seen, Prince William was at the RAF Valley this week, going back to see his old unit, and he had a mug that said HRH, Prince of Wales. But when he was back in 2013, he had a mug saying Big Willie. OK, because that was his nickname on the base. OK, and So this is the reason for this one. What is the funniest or strangest royal family nickname that you've heard?
Well, of course, Mike Tyndall revealed his nickname for Prince William recently, which was on a similar theme, One Pint Willie, because of his lack of drinking prowess. They've got a lot of nicknames in the royal family. The late Queen had multiple. Gary, as she was called by a young Prince William, because as a toddler he couldn't say granny. And he was overheard shouting for Gary in one of the royal palaces, and someone was saying, "Who's Gary? Who's Gary?" And the Queen said, "Oh, that's me. He hasn't learnt to say granny yet."
I did not know that. No. That's really good.
And Prince Philip, she of course had Lilibet, which was her father's name for her. The great-grandchildren called her Gangan. But my favourite was Prince Philip's term of endearment for her, which was Cabbage.
Yes. Yes, you can imagine him saying it to her as well, can't you? Right, next question. Who is the smartest member of the royal family that you've interviewed?
Princess Anne.
OK.
I interviewed her at Buckingham Palace in her apartments at Buckingham Palace, and it was a very a difficult interview to do in many ways, because it was an interview to prepare obituaries for the late Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh. So it was sensitive, and we were all a little nervous as we were setting up for the interview. I was there with my crew, and we weren't expecting her for a while, but I turned around and realised there was a presence in the room, and Princess Anne had snuck in through a side door and was just observing. And she had multiple pointed questions to check that I was across my brief. But what I was most impressed with was that she went around and she introduced herself and shook hands with every single member of the crew. We sat down and we did the interview, and a lengthy interview. And at the end, she stood up and she thanked individually by name every single member of the crew that was in the room. And, you know, she knew that. I thought that was extremely, extremely important, because she knows when she meets someone, of course, they know who she is. But doesn't it mean a lot for her to remember a name?
That's incredible, yeah. So she remembered the names, went back, and that's...
And not just, you know, recognising me as the interviewer, but every single person who was playing a role in that. So I
don't know if you saw, but apparently this story rolls around every couple of years, that Strictly Come Dancing, or in America I think it's Dancing with the Stars, they want to host that at Buckingham Palace, but it keeps falling through. To be honest, Buckingham Palace doesn't have the room for it. Doesn't have space, but they keep trying.
What do you mean they don't have space for it?
They don't have space for it. Even I was in there the other day, and even the ballroom where they have the state dinners, it's not big enough to house everything.
I suppose once you start bringing in all of that kind of equipment, and
is it ridiculous to think that Buckingham Palace
and a live audience
and all the equipment and
wouldn't it be fabulous though?
Yeah, of course. That's why they keep trying. That's why they keep trying. But which member of the royal family do you think would do the best on Strictly Come Dancing?
Got to be Queen Camilla. Got to be Queen Camilla. She loves dancing. She's danced with some of the Strictly pros before. She took up ballet during lockdown. She became a silver swan. She's made no secret of her love of watching Strictly, so absolutely her. And I can only imagine her practising back at Clarence House with the King, because he's quite a mover himself. It doesn't take much to persuade him to get up and dance, particularly on a royal tour, does it?
What about Prince William's dad dancing?
Well, yeah. I mean, he might be kept in because of his position, but I'm not sure he'd be kept in on his ballroom skills or his Latin.
I love that video of him where he's dancing at Taylor Swift. I thought that's just proper dad dancing.
Proper dad dancing, but good on him.
If you could borrow from any royal wardrobe, whose would it be?
Princess of Wales.
Oh.
She is impeccably dressed on all occasions. I mean, some of the dresses that stand out for me, that beautiful glittering gold Jenny Packham gown that she wore to the, I think it was the No Time to Die premiere, and she absolutely outshone every Bond girl that there ever has been. And actually her most recent appearance at Trooping the Colour, the pressure that she was under there to get it right, knowing that everybody was going to be looking at her and scrutinising her appearance. And actually she was again wearing a Jenny Packham gown, an upcycled dress that she'd worn before during the coronation for one of the walkabouts. They'd changed it with a striped bow, and she looked absolutely on point. Perfect.
She rarely gets it wrong.
No,
I remember even the video that we had of the Prince and Princess of Wales at the farm shop. Even then, she was looking glamorous. She was wearing, leggings, some boots, and a jacket. Even then, she looked like, she was kind of owning the farm shop. She looked like she was a proper stylish. So yeah, she never really gets anything wrong.
She really doesn't get it wrong.